Good morning. I'm meteorologist Dave Epstein. It is Monday, the 23rd of February. Let's get to the weather wisdom for today. It's just after 5 a.m. as I'm recording this, 5:08 specifically. All right, so the storm is underway as I've been social mediating for a few days now. We're not going to miss it. And even yesterday, when I started talking about the fact that the models had shifted things a little bit further south, I tried to indicate that didn't mean we were going to miss the storm. But I do think that the heaviest now is more likely along the I 95 corridor south and east of that. So if you think about, you're driving on 128 and you get to that little intersection where it goes on 95 south toward Providence, I think that's roughly, now, again, storms don't pay attention to roadways. We just use them to help you to know where we're talking about. Could it be a little north or south of there? Absolutely. And the same thing with the bands. I put the band in. I've got 16 to 22 south of Boston. Does it mean that Boston couldn't end up with 17 inches? No. It just means that this is the most likely areas that see the heaviest snow. It's also the most likely area where there's going to be power issues. So that line, again, south and east of there, the snow will be heaviest and wettest for the longest amount of time, so it's going to stick to the most amount of trees, and that's where we could see the most amount of damage. It's also where the winds are strongest. So all those things kind of conflate and come together in that area, and that's why that area is under the gun for the worst impacts of the storm. 16 to 22 inches of snow. Again, that goes all the way down to the Cape. I probably should, as I'm talking right now, I'm looking at my map for Nantucket. I should probably lower that a little bit. I'll change that on the next set of maps. Then you get to Boston, 12 to 16. That's going to run from Cape Ann all the way back to the 495 belt. I do think that, out to 495 probably is 12. Could someone get 13 or 14 inches in this zone? Absolutely. Could someone only end up with 10? For sure. But generally, this is what I'm expecting. Then you go west of that, you get 8 to 12. We're talking, west of the 495 belt on toward Pepperell, Groton, Townsend. Now, sometimes these bands pivot up there, and, someone in that zone ends up with, in a 12-inch prediction, ends up with 14. Or the opposite can happen. Someone only gets 6 inches in the 8 to 12. Then you go further west, Pioneer Valley, 4 to 8. North and west of that, 1 to 4 inches of snow. Ending times. Northwest corner of the state, 1 to 3 p.m. You get to the Pioneer Valley, Springfield, Amherst, you folks, 2 to 4. You get out towards Worcester, 3 to 5. You get into the Worcester area, 5 to 7 o'clock. That includes Boston. It'll sort of shut down west to east. And then 7 to 9 p.m. as you get on Cape, southeastern part of the state there. Right, so that's the snowfall totals. Winds. Winds are going to peak here between 7 a.m. and roughly noontime in Boston. It'll continue later than that. Those highest gusts will occur in that time. That doesn't mean the wind shuts off, folks. It just means that the highest gusts are there. It doesn't mean you can't lose power after that because the snow's building up and you still have wind. But that's where the worst of it is. And then as we get towards the afternoon, you'll start noticing the winds subside. It won't subside significantly on Cape until after 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. So that's kind of the storm. It's a classic storm. It's a beautiful satellite. Obviously, you can't see it, but it's wrapped up. Looks like the blizzard of 78. Looks like the President's Day blizzard. Looks like, any other blizzards that we've seen off the coastline. By the way, as I'm saying that word blizzard, it's reminding me to tell you a blizzard is a quarter mile visibility or less for 3 hours or more in a row with winds of 35 miles an hour or greater for 3 hours in a row. I think that's what I said. And so whether or not we reach a full-fledged official blizzard remains to be seen. So right now, winds, as I'm looking in Boston, have been 30, 32, 35. But the visibility, I don't think necessarily below a quarter mile yet. We've just got mostly light snow to moderate snow. 0.75 is what I'm seeing on the visibility in Boston. Doesn't mean that you can't pivot some of those bands in, but that's what it looks like as of now. Further south, Plymouth, Martha's Vineyard, parts of Nantucket, you definitely could see blizzard conditions and maybe a full-fledged official blizzard if it lasts for 3 hours. We won't know until after the storm. We'll actually know this afternoon because once we get to the afternoon, after 1 o'clock, the heaviest snow bands shut down. So most of the snow, again, is down here by 1 or 2 o'clock, but it lingers into the evening hours. So most of the snow is down by 1 or 2 o'clock. So it's 5 a.m., 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You got about 6 or 7 hours more as you're listening to this at 5 a.m. Before things wind down in terms of accumulation. Big storm, wobbled just, again, with these storms, a difference of 25 miles moves those lines a little bit. Blizzard warning does extend up into the coast of Maine and all the way back through Worcester County. I think that that's overdone. I don't like to criticize anybody else in my business, but I just think for your purposes, if you're seeing blizzard warning, I think that, yes, travel is going to be terrible out in Worcester County, northern Middlesex County, but do I think Springfield's going to verify or Hartford's going to verify with a blizzard? I think it's unlikely. I think it's very unlikely that they're going to verify with a blizzard. So what happens after this? We'll wind down this evening. Temperatures will go down towards 20. Tomorrow we're up near 30 with mostly sunny skies. Great opportunity to head out to some of the local ski areas, by the way, if you're off tomorrow. It'll be a little bit breezy. Then we have a clipper system moving in here on Wednesday. A little bit of light precipitation. There could be 1 to 2 to 3 inches of snow, but not a big storm. And then we'll see some rain perhaps here Thursday night into Friday. And then right now the weekend's looking great. We're going to see some melting going on. Stunning ski weekend, by the way, Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures in the low 40s will be in the 30s to the north, so some good weather up there. Hope you found this helpful. Please share it with folks, and I'll update as needed throughout the day. Have a great morning, everybody.